He asked me to cancel the ride, didn't say why, just cancel it. And the man standing 30 feet away hadn't moved once since I pulled up. I still don't know if Kevin was warning me, or if Kevin was the man standing there. Either way, I should have left the moment I saw him. I didn't. This is what happened after that. Request came in at 11:47 p.m. Bar District downtown, the kind of area I'd done 100 pickups from. Busy on weekends, loud, familiar. Nothing about it stood out. Name on the app, Kevin. 4.8 rating, short trip, estimated 12 minutes. Clean request, nothing flagged. I pulled up at 11:51, hazards on, parked at the edge of the pickup zone, music coming through bar doors every time they opened. Groups of people moving up and down the sidewalk. A completely normal Friday night. I sat there for about 30 seconds, checked the app. Kevin hadn't moved on the map, still showing his pin right on top of mine. Then my phone buzzed. Not the app notification, a direct call. Kevin's number. I answered. A man's voice. Low. Calm. Not bar loud in the background. Not outside. Like he was somewhere quieter than he should have been. Hey, I need you to cancel the ride. I said, everything okay? He said, yeah, just cancel it. I told him I was already on location. Told him he'd likely get charged a cancellation fee. He said, I know, just cancel it. That's when something felt off. Not the request itself. People cancel rides. It happens every night. It was the voice. Flat. No irritation. No explanation. No trace of the noise you'd expect from someone standing outside a bar at midnight. The kind of calm that means a decision has already been made. I told him I'd take care of it in a moment. Ended the call. Sat there with my hazards still blinking. Looked out at the sidewalk. Scanned the crowd the way you do when you're looking for a specific face. That's when I saw him. A man. Standing about 30 feet from my car. Not trying to find his ride. Not checking his phone. Not talking to anyone. Just standing there. Looking directly at my car. No drink in his hand. No group around him. No reason to just be standing at the edge of the sidewalk staring at a parked vehicle. But he was. Completely still. I told myself it wasn't Kevin. Told myself it was just a guy outside a bar. Told myself I was reading into nothing. My hand moved toward the gear shift. I almost pulled out right then. Something kept me there. I wish I knew what. Phone buzzed again. Same number. Did you cancel yet? Same voice. Same flat calm. Like he hadn't moved. Like he'd been waiting exactly where he was. I said, can I ask why you need me to cancel? 2 full seconds of silence. Longer than it should have been. I just need you to cancel. I looked up at the man on the sidewalk. He'd moved. Closer now. Maybe 15 feet from my car. Still watching. Something shifted in my chest. Not panic. Something quieter than panic. The specific feeling of understanding something before you're ready to admit you understand it. Part of me was still trying to find the version of this that was normal. There wasn't one. I said, are you the guy standing outside right now? Silence. A beat longer than before. Then, where are you parked? He didn't answer my question. He asked where I was, like he needed to confirm something, like my exact position mattered, like he was about to do something with that information. I looked at the man on the sidewalk. He had a phone to his ear. I was done. I put the car in drive, pulled out of the pickup zone. Slow, steady, not panicked, but not stopping either. Checked the mirror as I turned. He was watching my car leave, didn't move, didn't follow, didn't lower the phone, just watched. Until I turned the corner and he was gone. 2 blocks away, I pulled into a side street, cut the music, sat there with the engine running, and that's when it landed. Not like a recap, like a realization, the kind that arrives after the danger has passed and hits harder because of it. He never said he wasn't the man outside. I asked him directly, "Are you the guy standing outside right now?" He didn't say no. He didn't say anything that wasn't about my location. Where are you parked? Which means one of two things. He was warning me about the man standing there, or he was the man standing there, trying to confirm exactly where I was before I drove away. I sat with that for a long time, longer than I should have. Engine running, street empty, just me and that question I couldn't answer. I canceled the trip, marked it as passenger no-show, accepted the next request that came in, drove away. 20 minutes later, a notification, 1-star rating, no comment, from Kevin, a man who never got in my car, who called twice asking me to cancel, who never once said no when I asked if he was outside. Gave me 1 star. I reported the whole thing to Uber when I got home. The calls, the man on the sidewalk, the timing, the question he didn't answer. All of it. They responded 3 days later, said they'd reviewed the trip, found no violations. Kevin's account was still active. I checked. I don't know what was supposed to happen that night. I don't know if Kevin was the man outside, or if Kevin was someone else entirely. Someone who saw what was happening and tried to warn me the only way he could. Both of those versions are unsettling, just in completely different ways. I still think about where that man was standing, how still he was, how long he must have been there before I even arrived, and what he was planning to do if I hadn't pulled away when I did. If a pickup has ever felt wrong before you even moved, drop it in the comments. I want to know what you did, and whether you stayed. Kevin never said a word that was directly threatening. Neither did the next one. But where Kevin made me want to drive away, this passenger made me want to stay calm. That was so much more dangerous. She was perfect on paper. 4.9 rating. Coffee shop pickup. Still light outside when the request came in. Nothing about it suggested anything. I've been driving long enough to develop a kind of automatic read on passengers. You do enough rides, you start to pick up on things without thinking about it. The way someone gets in, the way they settle into the seat, whether they look at you or through you. Most of the time, that read is right. This time, I almost missed it completely. Her name on the app was Mara, late 20s. Well-dressed, not overdressed, just put together. The kind of person who looks like they have somewhere to be and know exactly how to get there. She was standing outside when I pulled up, got in without rushing, settled into the back seat like she'd done it 1,000 times, smiled at me in the mirror. "Hey, how's your night going?" Easy, warm, natural. I said it was going fine. "Decent night." She nodded like that was genuinely good to hear. Too natural. I didn't catch it at first. I wish I had. We pulled out and she made small talk. Not the forced kind where someone's trying to fill silence, the kind that feels genuinely easy. She asked how long I'd been driving. I told her about a year on and off. She said she took ride shares all the time. Said she always tried to be a good passenger. That line, "I always tried to be a good passenger," said completely unprompted. Who says that? Most people don't think about it. They just get in. I filed it away and kept driving. Every answer she gave landed exactly right. No roughness to it. No moment where she had to think or adjust. Like every response had been prepared just slightly ahead of time. Smooth in a way that real conversation usually isn't. That was the first thing wrong. I just didn't have a name for it yet. 3 minutes in, she leaned forward. Just slightly. Just enough. "Can I ask you something kind of random?" I said sure. "Do you ever get scared? Like, of passengers?" I kept my eyes on the road, let a second pass before answering. Said sometimes you get a feeling, yeah. The job puts you in situations where your gut speaks up. She nodded, slow, thoughtful, like I'd confirmed something she already suspected. I think about that a lot. How much trust is involved? You let a stranger into your car, You don't know anything about them, and they're right behind you. She paused after that. Let it sit. That line landed differently than it should have. Not like observation, like inventory, like she was describing a dynamic she'd thought about carefully, from the passenger side. I told myself it was just conversation, told myself curious people ask curious questions, but something had shifted and I couldn't unshift it. I changed the subject, asked how her night was going. She followed the redirect perfectly. No friction, no hesitation, just pivoted. Normal answer, normal tone. Like she'd expected me to change the subject, like she'd already accounted for it. That's when I started watching her differently. Not the words anymore, the control behind them, the way nothing she did was accidental, the way every response was exactly calibrated, not to connect, but to manage. 4 minutes from the drop-off. She leaned forward again. Same angle as before, same measured tone. What do you do if a passenger makes you uncomfortable? I said I'd pull over, find a reason, end the trip. Have you ever had to? Once or twice. What did they do? I didn't answer that one. Something in me had gone quiet. The kind of quiet that happens when your instincts catch up to your brain, when you stop processing the conversation and start processing the pattern. The questions weren't random. They were sequential, each one building on what came before, each one gathering specific information. What scares me, what I do when I'm scared, what it would take to make me stop. She was building a picture. I just didn't know of what. I asked why she was asking, kept my voice even. She smiled, said she was writing something. I find the psychology of it interesting. The psychology of what? She didn't finish the sentence, left it open, on purpose. I wanted the ride to be over, 90 seconds left. I focused on the road, said almost nothing. She didn't try to fill the silence. She sat in it, comfortable, patient. That patience was the most unsettling thing about her. Most people get a little restless when conversation dies. They reach for their phone, they look out the window, they do something. Mara just waited, like silence was a tool she knew how to use. Then, I'm going to ask you one more thing, and I want you to be honest. I didn't say okay, I just waited. If I asked you to drive somewhere that wasn't on the app, would you do it? The air in the car changed. I said no. Not even for cash? No. She sat back, smiled. Good answer. 2 words. Not, that's what I figured. Not, of course not. Good answer. Like there was a rubric. Like she'd asked this before. Like the answer I gave determined something. And I just made it to the next round. The wrong answer had a consequence. I don't know what it was. I don't know what came after it. But somewhere out there is a driver who said yes, or hesitated long enough that yes felt possible. And I think about that driver more than I should. We pulled up to the drop-off. She thanked me, got out, walked to the front door of a house and let herself in. Lights on inside, everything normal, everything fine. 5 minutes later, 5 stars. Great driver, very professional. Professional. I sat with that word for a long time, because the whole ride felt like an interview. Every question deliberate, every answer noted. The silence used like punctuation. And that final question, would you go somewhere that wasn't on the app? Wasn't curiosity. It was a filter. She was sorting drivers into 2 groups, the ones who would and the ones who wouldn't. I don't know what she needed the first group for. I don't know what happened to them after. I just know I wasn't in it. And that is the only part of that ride that gave me any peace at all. If you've been here before, you already know the last story is the one that follows you home. This next one left something behind to prove it. Mara left nothing behind. The last one did. 2 weeks after the ride, under the back seat, a key. Orange tag. Number stamped into the side. That's where this one starts. He asked me to make a stop that wasn't on the app. Told me 5 minutes. It took 11, and I'm still not sure what came back with him was worth carrying. I've been driving Uber on and off for about 3 years, long enough to think I'd seen the full range of what this job could be. Late nights, strange requests, uncomfortable silences. You build up a kind of tolerance for it. You learn what's actually worth worrying about, and what isn't. I thought I knew the difference. This was a Tuesday night, 10:45 p.m. when the request came in. Pick up at a hotel off the interstate, the kind of hotel that exists in every city. Clean, functional, completely forgettable. The kind business travelers use when the company is paying and comfort isn't the point. Name on the app, Rob, 4.6 stars. That's a solid rating. Not perfect, but solid. The kind of number that says this person has taken enough rides that the average has settled somewhere reasonable. Nothing flagged, nothing unusual. He was waiting out front when I pulled up. Button-up shirt, no luggage. Looked exactly like what the hotel suggested. A man finishing a long day of meetings, killing time before an early flight. He got in without a word. Confirmed the drop-off before I asked. Went straight to his phone. Completely normal. That's the part I keep returning to. How perfectly, unremarkably normal the first 4 minutes were. Then he looked up. Casual, easy. The way you look up when you're about to ask something minor. Hey, do you mind making a quick stop first? There's a storage place about 2 minutes off route. I just need to grab something real quick. I said sure. People add stops. It's common enough. Someone needs to grab something from a friend's place, pick up a package, swing by a gas station. It happens. He pulled up the address on his phone and held the screen toward me. Didn't enter it into the app, just showed me. I noticed that. I don't know why it bothered me. It just did. I typed the address into my own GPS. Secure store. Access road off Route 44. The kind of facility that runs itself after hours. Gate code entry. No front desk. No staff on site past 6 p.m. Open until midnight. We pulled in at 10:58. The lot was empty. Completely empty. Long rows of units stretching away from the entrance, disappearing into the dark at the far end. A few overhead lights near the gate. Everything past them was shadow. Rob got out. Said he'd be a few minutes. Walked to the keypad, entered a code, and passed through the gate without slowing down. Like he'd done it many times before. The gate closed behind him, and I was alone. I sat there with the engine running, adjusted the heat, checked my phone, tried to feel like this was normal. The lot stayed empty. No other headlights, no other cars, no sound except the low hum of the fluorescent light above the gate entrance. I started checking my mirrors. Not because I saw anything, not because anything moved, because the silence had a quality to it that I couldn't name. Like the quiet wasn't absence of sound, like it was presence of something else. I tracked the time on my phone. 5 minutes, still nothing. 7 minutes, no movement. 9, 11. The gate opened. Rob came through. He was carrying a bag, dark green duffel, large, heavy. I could see the weight from the moment he cleared the gate. His shoulder dropped on the side, holding it. The fabric pulled taut around whatever was packed inside. His grip adjusted twice as he walked toward the car. Real weight. The kind that shifts. The kind that makes you reconsider how you're holding it. I watched him cross the lot, and I ran the math without meaning to. He'd been in there 11 minutes with a bag that heavy. He hadn't grabbed something. He'd done something. He came around to the back of the car, not the door, the trunk. Mind if I throw this back here? I said sure. Popped the trunk. I didn't ask what was in it. I've gone over that moment more times than I can count. Part of me says it wasn't my place. Part of me says I was tired and not thinking clearly. But if I'm honest, I think some part of me had already decided that not knowing was safer than knowing. And so I didn't ask. The bag went in. The trunk closed. That sound, the soft, heavy thud of it settling, stayed with me longer than it should have. Rob got back in. Phone out before the door closed. Scrolling. Relaxed. No explanation. No mention of what he'd grabbed. No thank you for waiting. No acknowledgement that anything unusual had just happened. Just a man in a button-up shirt looking at his phone in the back of a car like the last 11 minutes had been nothing at all. That was the part that got inside me. Not the storage facility. Not the bag. Not the weight of it. The calm. The complete, undisturbed calm of someone who had just loaded something heavy into a stranger's trunk at 11 p.m. at an unstaffed facility on a Tuesday, and had absolutely nothing to say about it. We drove the rest of the way in silence. His thumbs moved on his screen. My eyes moved between the road and the mirror. I kept my speed steady. I kept my breathing even. I kept telling myself I was almost done. Drop-off was a house in a subdivision, quiet street, neat yards, lights on and a few windows. The kind of neighborhood that looks the same in every city. Nothing that stood out. Nothing that prepared me. Rob got out, went around to the trunk, lifted the bag. I heard it again. That weight. The dense internal shift of something solid moving inside the fabric as he adjusted his grip. He carried it to the front door, reached into his pocket, pulled out a key, let himself in. Lights on inside. Door closed. Gone. I sat at the curb for a moment, engine running, looking at that closed door, that lit window, that ordinary house on that ordinary street, telling myself it was fine, telling myself it was nothing, telling myself to drive. I drove. I filed it under Weird Night, told myself I'd forget about it by the weekend. I almost did. 2 weeks later, I was cleaning out my car. Floor mats, cup holders, under the seats, the routine pass you do every few weeks. My hand went under the back seat and touched something small. I pulled it out. A key, small, worn at the edges, orange plastic tag, a number stamped into the face of it. 1 and 14. I held it, and everything came back. The empty lot, the 11 minutes, the gate closing behind him, the weight of that bag, the way the fabric pulled tight, the trunk closing. That sound, the silence on the drive, the door closing on that ordinary house, all of it, flooding back, differently than before. Because now there was a key, and a key means a unit, and a unit means he'd been there before. And losing the key in my car meant he didn't know where it was, which meant he might want it back. He had the trip record. He had my plate number. He'd been inside my car. He knew what I drove. He could find me if he decided to. I didn't move for a long time after that thought landed. Just sat at my kitchen table, key in my hand, running through every possible version of what Rob was, what he did, what was in that bag, what was in Unit 114. I thought about going there, finding the facility, using the key, opening the unit. I thought about it more than once. Every time something stopped me. Not fear exactly. Something quieter than fear. The specific instinct that tells you some doors are better left closed, some answers cost more than the question is worth. I kept the key for longer than I should have. Weeks. Told myself I was going to figure out what to do with it. Never did. Eventually I put it in a bag, threw it away, tried to close it that way. It didn't close. Unit 114 is still out there. Access road off Route 44. Facility that runs itself after midnight. No staff, no cameras on the units themselves, just rows of locked doors and whatever is behind them. 114 is still locked, still sitting there, holding whatever Rob needed badly enough. To drive to an empty lot at 11 p.m., to spend 11 minutes inside, to load into a stranger's trunk without a word, and carry into a house with a key that was already his. I don't know what it was. I told myself I didn't want to, but that was never completely true. The truth is, I think about Unit 114 more than I've told anyone. I think about the weight of that bag. I think about what shifts like that when you adjust your grip. I think about 11 minutes and what you can do in 11 minutes when no one is watching and the lot is empty and the gate code keeps the record clean. I never went back. I'm not going to, but I want to. And that is the part that bothers me most. 3 rides, 3 passengers. 3 moments where something was wrong before it had a name. None of these drivers did anything wrong. They showed up, they drove, and it followed them home anyway. If a ride has ever felt off, a passenger that made the air change, a moment your gut said something your brain tried to argue with, drop it in the comments. The stories that become videos almost always start there. Subscribe if you want to be here for the next one. I've been sitting on it for a while. You'll understand why when you see it. Drive safe tonight. Check your back seat before you get in. Whatever gets left in your car, leave it there. Don't bring it inside. Not everything a passenger leaves behind when was dropped by accident.